Israel has received the list of the next hostages due to be released in Gaza tomorrow under the terms of the hostage and ceasefire deal reached earlier this month. 3 hostages are due to be freed from Hamas captivity.
The hostages include 53-year-old Ofer Calderon, a French-Israeli citizen, 65-year-old Israeli-American citizen Keith Siegel, and 35-year-old Yarden Bibas, whose wife and 2 young sons are still unaccounted for in Gaza. Joining us now to discuss upcoming prisoner hostage swap is Oakland University professor Peter Trumbore. Thanks so much for being here, Peter.
Thank you.
So we saw from yesterday's release, and these releases are happening in different locations, even though it's the same day. Some of the releases have been total chaos. We've seen the videos, and how could that potentially harm the ceasefire agreement? Could it?
I don't know that it will. I mean, I think there's a couple things going on. I think Hamas is still demonstrating that they are in control in Gaza and that they intend to stay in control. And so the chaotic scenes that we saw in the last segment with the gunmen and all of that is a demonstration that Hamas remains in a position of authority. And so what that's going to do down the road, I'm not sure. Hamas is still continuing to release the hostages as they've agreed to, and Israel is releasing prisoners as they've agreed to. And I think as long as those exchanges continue, the process will move to the next phase. It's going to be interesting to see if there is anything that's going to disrupt that, but so far it seems that both sides are following the rules that they agreed to.
Professor, do we anticipate more Americans will be freed?
I don't know if there are any more American citizens that are in custody. I've not seen a full list. My assumption would be is that assuming that there are, then they would be part of that list. But again, there was sort of a prioritization that was made about who would be released when, in what order, and that sort of thing. And so my hunch is that they're going to continue to stick to that sort of schedule and timeline.
Keith Siegel, who is set to be released tomorrow, is
Right.
an American citizen,
Right.
a 65-year-old. His wife was released in the very first exchange in
Right.
November of 2023. So Israel is expected to allow medical evacuations through the Gaza-Egypt crossing. Could that change at any time?
So that has been a critical point of controversy, and it's been a pretty steady demand of the Palestinians to reopen the crossing at Rafah, because that is the primary way that Palestinians have been able to move in and out of Gaza in a spot that's not completely under the control of Israel. So reopening that is actually a good thing. It allows more relief to come into the territory. It does allow folks to leave who haven't been able to. I mean, Gaza has essentially been, for a long time, really a prison camp with access in and out very, very tightly controlled by Israel and by Egypt. And Egypt has been cooperating with Israel to sort of keep the border closed. That's one reason why there were all those tunnels that were dug underneath the borders, was a way to get both people, but also, everyday goods and services, along with things like weapons and bomb-making supplies and all that.
Yeah.
Those tunnels served multiple purposes. It wasn't just to smuggle weapons into Gaza. I mean, they were bringing things like automobiles and car parts and all the sorts of things you need to kind of run the territory of more than 1 million people. All of that was being brought in under very difficult circumstances. So the reopening of that border crossing is a good thing.
All right, so much to discuss and unpack here with this one. Professor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.